penguins?
Yeah, the 10%.
You heard about that?
The 10% tariff on the penguins. And the tariffs got lifted, by the way.
Yeah. We're not talking about that because that's just a massive pump and dump, is what that is.
Yep.
You won't convince me that this wasn't on purpose just to make a shit ton of money.
Marjorie Taylor Greene bought a fuck ton of stocks 2 days ago.
Wonder
That's
why.
so weird. That's so strange.
I mean, to be fair, I thought of doing that too because I suspected it was going to be a pump and dump.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, that just seemed like a lot of work for me. But yeah, so they determined their tariff rates with ChatGPT, and that's probably why they ended up tariffing penguins and tariffing. There were other places where like the only people on the islands that they were tariffing were American soldiers on the American army base that is there, and those are the only people that exist there. So yeah, no, they use ChatGPT for that. Like these reporters. They asked ChatGPT for like an easy way to determine approximate tariff policy, and ChatGPT spat out exactly the formula that the White House used to say, like, Europe is tariffing us this much percent. It's like everybody who knows anything about economics is like, that's not a tariff, that's a trade deficit. But ChatGPT was like, it's a tariff. And so Trump was like, it's a tariff.
John Oliver did a thing where he posted the formula, and then when the White House responded, not to John Oliver specifically, obviously, but when the White House responded about the formula that was being used to calculate the tariffs, they said, no, it's this super complicated formula, and
they just added a bunch of Greek letters to it.
Yes.
That didn't mean anything.
That cancel everything out and actually just means that the formula is exactly what was mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I did hear about that, yes. So, yeah, they are literally using ChatGPT to set international economic policy.
People have way too much faith in large language models.
Yeah, no, it's just like they don't understand the words that they are saying to you. It's just a series of numbers to them.
Yep.
And they're just guessing at which one is most likely to come next, given the context of what came before.
You know, there's a concept called a pea zombie. You're familiar with one, I'm assuming, right?
Philosophical zombie, yeah.
Yep. So the concept of a pea zombie, for anybody in chat
is
who might
anyone
not know,
who wears a MAGA hat.
Yes, but the concept of a pea zombie is something that is unable to be determined whether it's a human being or not. It seems and acts like a human being.
Not necessarily a human being, but a sentient or sapient being.
A sentient or sapient being. But like, as far as we know, the only truly sentient or sapient beings we have are us and baby dolphins.
Yeah, but there's no reason why we would be the only possible sentient or sapient being. So I feel like that distinction is important.
That's fair. But a being of sentience or sapience that can communicate with you, there is no way to tell the difference between a real person and a philosophical zombie. A philosophical zombie is a, quote, person who can only respond to stimuli, and every single thing that they do is not determined by their conscious or subconscious. They're not making any decisions. They are just responding algorithmically to stimuli, which is what large language models do.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to take the concept of a large language model, where it is just responding to the stimuli that it's getting, right now the only stimuli it can receive is words. But if you gave it all of our senses, if you gave it the ability to smell, the ability to hear ambient sounds, it kind of can already do that. But if you're giving it the ability to do this on all the time, how would you tell that that's not just a person? At that point, it would be very hard to tell, and even the Turing test does not actually determine this very well either. because ChatGPT can trick the Turing test if you tell it to have a personality before engaging with the Turing test.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's basically an extension of solipsism. The only mind that I can prove exists is mine, and I can only prove it to me.
Yep, but I think, unlike solipsism, which I think is useless dumb talk, I think that
Well, unless we're talking about whether or not people wearing MAGA hats are philosophical zombies.
I think the concept of a pea zombie is more fascinating than the concept of solipsism, because solipsism assumes a bunch of strange things, like the fact that all of your favorite
solipsism is pea zombies are possible, therefore everybody except for me is a pea zombie.
Yeah, it's a logical leap that you have no information to get to, and it assumes that all of your favorite and most hated things in the world are things you created, which is simultaneously one of the most arrogant thoughts and also one of the most self-hating thoughts.
I don't think so, because I think a lot of solipsism is like it only extends to this universe, and so the idea that you're a brain in a vat or a simulation in a computer or whatever, it's like it's not necessarily created by you. It could be procedurally generated, or it could be created by whoever made the simulation or whoever put your brain in the vat.
There are some branches of solipsism that think that your brain is the one constructing everything, and I guess that's what I'm defaulting to.
Yeah, there are, and that's the one that I find to be the most ridiculous.
Yeah, because it simultaneously shows that you really hate yourself. Because why would you construct a world where you have to pay taxes for roads that don't get potholes filled? Like, come on. If you constructed that world, you fucking suck, my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if it were me, it'd just be the Beaver video game. Okay.
Ienzo says, you mean poll roads?
So, yeah, Trump administration is using ChatGPT to determine important policy decisions, which is terrifying as shit because ChatGPT will just tell you what you want to hear.
Ha! You said it was terrifying.
I did. Speaking of terrifying, let's move on to the tweets.
Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Leela Ururaka, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.